Hello and happy Friday. So today I am yet again live streaming into the lovely Canva Crew Facebook group and going to do a bit of a demo. And this week we are doing it as per a request or a question that Nicole Christie put in, which was about how to create a sort of dramatic shadow effect with some text. She sort of put in a post with sort of something that she'd seen somewhere else. So I'm going to do my best to recreate something similar. I haven't tried it out. I've got a few ideas of how I could create something similar, but we're going to figure it out together. So if you have any questions whilst I'm doing this training, feel free to comment below, and I will try my best to answer as part of the live, or we'll come back and reply afterwards. So let's hide that. Let me see comments there. Say hello if you're watching, and don't forget to tag #replay. It'd be great to see who's watched. Tell me how you're getting on. Let's get some interaction going. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen. Let's go. Bear with. Here we go. So yep, that's sharing, and I can see your comments if you so wish to comment. Okay, so here we have the example here. So you can see that there's quite a dramatic sort of drop shadow that's coming off the text. So I will do my best to create something that's similar. There will be some things that we, might not be able to get exactly the same. So I'm going to start with creating a sort of little background because there's a sort of dark background there. So I've just used a shape, just a square, nothing fancy. Let's hide that. I'm going to use the color picker tool, so you can see the photo colors are picked up. So I'm going to match it, as close as possible using Canva's handy dandy tool there. I'm going to put a bit of text. I'm just going to use my sort of default text here for my brand colors, brand fonts even. And I'll make it white. And I'm going to put some other text in because, hey, why not? Why not do a bit of self-promotion? Put that here and let's make it super duper big. We'll make it all caps as well. Maybe not quite as big as that. So you can pop that over there. In these sessions, you'll hear me just sort of muttering to myself, just me kind of thinking aloud. As it's Friday, it's the end of a very busy week, so there may well be some words that I forget, a bit of burbling away, or brain farts, as I like to call them these days, where you just forget what you're trying to say. So we've got the text here. So there are a couple of options that we can do here. So there are some fairly recent text effects that you can add in here, and there is a shadow one here. So if I zoom in a bit more so you can see. So you can see you can add a bit of a shadow there, and you can change the direction. So we can make it like that. Let's pick a color. Right, before I do that, I'm going to, it's not kind of showing up with these colors, so I'm going to put some little boxes so that I've got these kind of pink and oranges is my sort of document colors. It will make sense why I'm doing that in a moment. So let's get my colors. So we've got the lighter color and slightly darker color, and go back there. Let's go to 100% so we can see a bit of the other one. So you can see that there is a bit of a drop shadow, and let's change the color of the shadow so it's the lighter orange. So you can see the document colors there now, which you couldn't before because I've now used them. Let's make it so it's not transparent, so it's 100%. You can change the offset, so that's just like how far it goes off. You can change the direction, so we talked about that, so sort of roughly kind of there. So we've got this option here, so it's not quite the same as that, but it is an option. So I will make a little copy of that and pop that over here so we can kind of have an idea. So this is the easiest way that you can do it. It's obviously not as dramatic as that, and you've also got the issue of that it's not kind of coming off the corners like that so much. So let's have a look at what other effects there are. So there is echo as well, which is slightly different. So if we bring that there, direction, we want it over there. Let's make the offset really extreme. With this one, there isn't any choice over like how transparent or not this kind of echo is. So if we go to fit screen, so it's doing a similar effect, but it is softer. You haven't got the control over the transparency, but it's something else to consider, which is also relatively easy. So we'll pop that there as well. So those are the easiest ways of doing it. But as I said, you haven't got quite the same dramatic thing of it. So I might keep the this one behind just as a bit of a guide to sort of, if I zoom in a bit more, so you can see that there's a sort of a kind of angle there. So I might adjust it a bit more so it ties in with the sort of angle that I can see of the other one. So I'm going to just use it as a bit of a guide rather than anything else. So in order to get a bit more of the other bits, I'm just going to use some shapes, I guess, to start building it up. It's going to be a bit time consuming, and I wouldn't really recommend that this is something that you would do for like all sorts of things, but it could be quite an interesting effect. So let's go back to fit. So I need to rotate this, bring that there. So in this case, actually, probably something like a triangle shape would be quite useful. Put in triangle. So this one would be a really good one to start building up my shapes rather than maybe the squares. So I'll move that out of the way. Right, I'm going to flip it. Can I flip it? There's no option to flip it. Okay, I will rotate it then by 90 degrees. And start bringing that there. Zoom in. So what I might do is probably remove this sort of text effect afterwards, but for the moment I think I might keep it there. So I'm going to just go work my way through and kind of put it at the edges. And when you're doing something a bit fancy schmancy like this, I would go in as close as you can so that you can really kind of get in there. Get right in there. I'm going to go in there and do the same here. In fact, I could probably line up the end one with the one from the E top. Nudge it over. And copy. So this one with the Y, I'd probably have to, oh, I don't want to copy that bit. Might need to make that smaller. So again, you don't want it to be showing there, so I might need to sort of use some other shapes to kind of fill that in, or go really small with it so it's hidden behind. So I will need this guy. Where have you gone? There you are. So I think I'll just do a bit of the top, because I think to do the whole the whole thing, let's just give you an idea of the technique here. And I'll need another one to go there. So if I then put the text portion above, there's a gap there as well that I'll need filling. Or it might be better to use a triangle actually for that gap. So it's just sort of filling all the spaces, so it doesn't look like much at the moment. So if I move this to the front, you can now start seeing that we've got some of that kind of effect created. And if I remove the effect, you get a clearer idea. So if we zoom in a bit more again, you can see that there are some little gaps here that we would want to fill in, possibly, you know, here to have these sort of solid bits. And in terms of, so if I just copy and paste that, I wanted to focus on a sort of another kind of bit of a technique that you could use as part of this, because there's a bit of a gradient going on here. So in order to sort of recapture or do something similar, that's a bit on a wonk, and let's move that backward. So what I would suggest doing is using a bit of a gradient, so and overlaying that, because there's so many multiple elements there, you're not going to be able to just put a gradient on it. So I'm going to show you a sneaky way that you can do that. So let's pretend I filled in those gaps and have done all the rest of the words, because you would want to fill in these bits here. So particularly like the crew, because that's coming out, and we'd probably need to sort something out with that edge there and decide what kind of angle that would be. There's a bit of tidying up there that needs doing. But as I said, you get the kind of principle of it. So let's go gradient in the elements. Now a element that I really like, zoom out a little bit, is this one here. It goes from purple to what appears to be sort of dark grey. It's actually got transparency on it, as you can see. And I use this a lot within Canva. So I'm going to make it the darker one that was in the colour, and I'm also going to make it, instead of it fading out to white, I'm going to make it to that kind of orange. So you can hopefully have seen the adjustment there. So this is where you'd probably, if you're using this sort of technique, you would probably need to have sort of some bits that come off the edge that would crop off, because I'm not going to be able to get the you know, the size exactly. No, I didn't want effects. What did I want to do? I wanted to move it forward to the front. So if I move this, it's trying to sort of fill it, but you have got the issue of it's a square. So another thing that I do when I'm using this element is copying it and then lining it up to sort of bring it across. So if you're having that all the way along, so, you know, assuming that we've done, you know, we would fill in those top edges there, but we could then bring this in sort of from over here, I guess. Let's move that over and make sure that that's forward. So you don't want that to be passing over that kind of edge. So it would probably need to be kind of, well, it would come off that edge there, it would look like. So if I nick one of them and turn it over 90 degrees. So these would come off that way. Just do it roughly, and then that needs to go there. So move that to the top, move that backward. It's all about layering the elements as well. So now I've got that angle figured out, I can then kind of make sure that that lines up as well. But I probably wouldn't need to, I wouldn't be able to do a strong across because you haven't got that control. So you'd be limited by making sure that it didn't pop beyond that bit of text. So if I make this a little bit kind of a stronger color so that it's a bit more obvious. So then if I copy and paste those and put them in there, you would want to line them up a bit nicer as well and making sure that they're not overlapping. But you could do something like that, and then you could use one if you wanted to at the bottom. Or that way. That could work quite well, having it that way. But you don't want it to kind of go beyond the text portion. So it's now bringing in a bit of both. So let's move that to the forward. Let's make that white. So I can kind of hide things around. Okay, so that's looking a bit nicer. So you can see, yes, there's a little bit more work needed. That's fine. But you can see that we've now got these sort of colours going on. So I've actually move them over here, out the way. So this is the finished look-ish. There's a bit more work to be done, but you can now see the kind of the technique that I would use to create something like this. It is a bit time consuming. You do need to spend a bit of time lining things up. You'd probably want to work on sort of a, you know, like a presentation side or something bigger, and then, you know, have things kind of cropping off the edge. You know, because there are going to be things where things overlap and stuff like that. So hopefully you found that useful, and thank you for watching with me. Let me know if there's anything that you want me to train on in any of these live stream sessions. I'm here to help.